Good morning, my dear friends. Really happy to see you. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita, and I have a quick Bath & Body Works-ish update. They were running a sale at Bath & Body Works maybe a week and a half ago, something like that, in which all the 3-wick candles were, I think, $14.95. And then the very last day, they said take an extra 20% off. So I went for it. I think it brought the candles down to like $11.95, which is pretty good at this rate for Bath & Body Works 3 wicks. And I did buy online, pick up in store, because I wanted to it had been a bit since I'd been at my local Bath & Body Works, and I kind of wanted to see what was going on and smell some candles. So I went ahead and bought a lot of candles online on the understanding that once I got to the store, I would probably exchange them out for something else that was in the store but was not showing up on the website, etc., etc. You know how it goes. So I got a ton, and I got a ton of the new like craft alcohol kind of ones. So like midnight cocktails, whiskey reserve, various ones like that. And I ended up returning those because I didn't love them. But just really quickly, let's talk about some of the ones that I returned and some of the ones that I encountered in the store. So everybody knows there's been that like cut glass tumbler kind of aesthetic with the various different alcoholic drinks. It's been out for about a month and a half, something like that. I don't know that it's selling particularly well, but I went ahead and like smelled all of them. It has sweet whiskey in it. It has prickly pear sangria, etc. I smelled them all, and I did think there were a couple standouts. So sweet whiskey was a standout for all the wrong reasons. Here's a picture of sweet whiskey. Sweet whiskey smells, at least on cold, like rubbing alcohol. Not like a nice deep boozy alcohol, but like the alcohol that you would apply to things to antiseptically clean them. And then it's got this kind of like vanilla amber thing going on beneath it, but I don't think there's enough vanilla and amber to counter the rubbing alcohol. So if it was burned, perhaps it would be different, but that was a standout for the wrong reasons. And then another standout, but for the right reasons, was the smoked caramel mezcal, which looks like this and has been fairly polarizing. Because a lot of people think that it smells like a barbecue or smells savory in almost a meaty kind of way. I wasn't getting that vibe smelling it, and I thought it was one of the more unique and dynamic candles of the bunch. So for me, I got definitely some smokiness, no question, but there was a real raw caramel to it as well. And I thought that it was boozy, but it was also like dynamic and more complex than many of the other alcohol drinks in that collection. Yes, there might be something kind of vaguely savory about it. And perhaps it was like the smoked wood chips that perhaps they have some sort of note in there, but unless upon being burned something completely different came out, I was not necessarily getting like a barbecued pulled pork kind of feel from it, or even like a barbecue chip. Like it just, I was not getting that. Obviously everybody has associations though too, and I wonder if it's just kind of maybe an association from that smoked caramel, or perhaps the smoked chips that were a fragrance note in that collection. I thought it was one of the more unique candles of the bunch. And another one that was a standout was the prickly pear sangria. And here's a picture of that. Many people are saying that it's a repackage of pear Riesling, and I'm not familiar with that candle, or at least only vaguely familiar with it. As with smoked caramel mezcal, really not my genre, not something that I would personally find pleasing in my house, just in terms of my vibe. But I did think that it was a nice candle. I thought it was boozy. I thought it was sparkling. I thought it was everything it needed to be. And I thought that there was something that was almost, it could almost vaguely pass as like a boozy apple cider. Now, I believe it is supposed to have had like a fairly not great strength or throw. So, and I didn't burn it, so I can't speak to that. But I'm kind of surprised that that hasn't gotten more folks on board. Those were kind of the standouts from that collection. And then there's like this, it came out, I think, about the same time as the cocktails, the midnight cocktails. There was kind of like a mini craft masculine alcohol collection, and this one had the Whiskey Reserve. Here's a picture of Whiskey Reserve. I went ahead and purchased this online, but then when I got it, I just immediately returned it because I do think Whiskey Reserve just kind of comes across as a fairly generic men's cologne slash aftershave. So I didn't think that that was anything to write home about. It also has, I believe, one more, and well, it's got the midnight cocktails, obviously. So midnight cocktails looks like this. I almost brought home midnight cocktails and decided on returning it at the last minute. Midnight cocktails was interesting. So the notes on midnight, excuse me, midnight cocktail is, let me just check my notes here, rich cedarwood, spiced clove, and dark tobacco. And I like all of those. There was a real perfumey dimension to this candle. It was perfumey, but it was also somewhat masculine leaning. So I don't know that it went straight full board masculine cologne, but it did, and because it had almost a feminine perfumey nature to it, almost a little bit of rose in that candle. Like there was a powdery, almost rose note. And I actually went and found the rosewood patchouli or patchouli rosewood candle in the store to kind of compare them. And patchouli rosewood was a lot more bold, and it was like fairly two note, and it was super heavy on the rose. So this is not that kind of a rose, but, and it's a softer candle across the board from patchouli rosewood. And there's a lot more notes and spices. So it does have a very spicy component to it. It's almost a little bit boozy just on top, and almost like a dry tea leaf or tobacco note, just, but a nuance of it underneath. And despite all of those notes and all of those combinations, and contributions, I actually thought the candle just did not come across as interesting or fresh. Gosh, I almost brought it home. And the girl who was like checking me out at the register was like, "Are you sure you don't want midnight cocktails?" Because we had discovered that we kind of had a similar like scent fragrance aesthetic. And so she really loved that one and she thought I should have brought it home. But I just, at the very last minute, I just thought, you know, there's just something not interesting about this candle. It's almost interesting, but not quite. In that same collection, they do have Palo Santo though, which is kind of like a blue with a red like wraparound label, same aesthetic as the Whiskey Reserve. And Palo Santo is a long-standing favorite. I highly recommend it if you haven't tried it. It's a really nice package. I would bring it home. I like it better than that like blue candle that they had for the Palo Santo earlier this year. Okay, so those are the ones that I passed on or that I smelled in the store. One more standout that I want to mention that I almost brought home was one of the Halloween candles. This one is I'm sorry, let me look at it again. It is Moonlit, it's not midnight. There is a midnight spell. That's the one with the crazy snake on top. And I actually kind of liked that candle, but it was kind of faint. I liked it because it was a body care that was like amber forward, and I like amber. So I liked it in that sense, but I don't even know if I would have bought the body care in that because it just isn't interesting or complex or bold enough. It's too bad because I really like that snake. The other one is Moonlit Graveyard, and that's the one with like the spooky coach on the front and like the ghost Oreo topper. I almost brought that home. Man, I smelled it so many times. I even left the register at a certain point. I was like, let me just go smell that again. So I have to hand it to Bath & Body Works. That Moonlit spell is a serious Halloween candle, and they don't really do Halloween so much. They just do Halloween packaging. They don't do like super spooky scents or fragrances. That candle is. And I know that there's some of you who like do the whole like Kringle Halloween thing. I really urge you to go and take a look at that Moonlit Graveyard, because it's in that genre of like Kringle spookiness. And it's a serious Halloween contribution. The notes on Moonlit Graveyard are tombstone moss, old foggy air, and eerie incense. I wasn't picking up a whole lot of incense in that candle. I wouldn't say it's a super spicy candle. And it was a little difficult to know what exactly it is that you were smelling. This is a very polarizing candle, and I would expect it to be, because it's a true Halloween candle. And I don't know that that's their main line, like consumer demographic at Bath & Body Works. Definitely could not be a body care item. Is it a body care item? Did they put it out in body care? Oh my God. That would just be absurd. I can't remember if it was or not. It may have been. Like, who would want to smell like that? So I was getting like a it's sweet. It's got a marshmallow sweetness to it. It's got like a green herbal something, but it's very funky. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't call out like vetiver or like something in it that's like a funky herb, you know, not necessarily an acquired taste kind of herb. And then there was this like sweet sour smell that was kind of ozone-y, and it kind of reminded me of like garbage, like trash, or like something that was kind of like going off, you know, a food product, something that was decaying, where you have that like sweet sour. Ooh, I mean, it just definitely put it into that Halloween category for sure. It is almost pleasing. And I know there are people that like it, think it's fantastic. So like I said, almost pleasing and then just kind of off, which makes it a perfect Halloween candle for sure. And so I recommend it on that level. I don't know if I'm really a Halloween person, and I don't know that I celebrate that whole like disgusting, like kind of off genre to smell, to decorate with. But if it's yours, I really think you want to check that out. Okay, and then we have these beautiful, and I'll show you because I picked one of them up, and we're going to talk about it. There's a new little mini collection with these textured labels, and they have kind of like a vintage painting kind of feel. And because they're not true wraparounds, they're $24.95. So I really think Bath & Body Works is knocking it out with these cheaper candles, because remember, we are going to have coming up that like vintage tapestry paste, like a painting with the colored wax coming out in like late August, which I think is darling as well. So they're doing, sometimes these cheaper $24.95s can be really stunning. This collection for sure is. So there are a few more in that particular collection. There's Pumpkin Bonfire, and here's a picture of Pumpkin Bonfire. Can you believe it? I left the store without getting my Pumpkin Bonfire. And when I was filling up my cart, I put 2 Pumpkin Bonfires in there, and somehow they got knocked out, and I'm not really sure why. And then I was in the store and I was taking pictures and I was smelling, and I came across Pumpkin Bonfire, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother taking a picture of this one. Why? Because I'm gonna like definitely bring it home. And just in like the chaos of the Bath & Body Works experience, I walked out of the store without Pumpkin Bonfire. Like, I cannot even believe it. I was driving my car home and I was like, oh my gosh, I missed Pumpkin Bonfire. But by that point, the store had closed, and like I had already exchanged all of my candles for other things. So it'll be in the store though, and I'll definitely go back and get it. I'm thinking about exchanging maybe my blueberry pumpkin patch which I haven't burned, and it seems like even the people who were like wild about it are now being transparent about the fact that maybe it was a little overhyped. And since it's not my genre at all, I think I'm gonna take back that blueberry pumpkin patch and I'll just get the pumpkin bonfire. It's a beautiful label. I really hope that they come out with another label and another format, because I do think Pumpkin Bonfire is one of the best harvest candles that Bath & Body Works currently has in their collection. Maybe the best, but certainly one of the best. So I'll definitely be getting it, but it's so weird. I walked out of the store without it. Anyway, in that same collection is Harvest Pomegranate. Here's a picture of Harvest Pomegranate. This is a candle that was out last year, I think, in that same collection with the copper lids, with the pumpkin bonfire and that other one that smells like body care, but I can't remember the name of it now, sweet something or other. Harvest Pomegranate lists, let me look at the notes here. Rich pomegranate, freshly picked apples, and sweet black plums. And it is in fact very berry forward, very fruity. It has dark fruits in it. But I would say that it's a little one note, even with all of its like berries and dark fruits. It doesn't really have a whole lot else. So, which may be exactly what it is that you want. It's just really super fruity, maybe some vague spice in the back end of it, but mostly just very fruity with jammy fruits and some dark stone fruits. I did say when I did that Kringle video, the last one that I did, that I thought that Vineyard Harvest candle was maybe supposed to be in the same genre as Sweet Pomegranate, but or Harvest Pomegranate, but Harvest Pomegranate actually has more authentic jamminess than that Kringle like Jolly Rancher Kool-Aid candle does. But let's close parentheses on that. Another candle in this collection is Perfect Autumn. Here's a picture of Perfect Autumn. And the notes on this one are fresh cranberry, spiced pumpkin, and crisp apple. No, I'm sorry, and rich clove. So cranberry, pumpkin, apple, and clove. For me, this was a very standard craft store kind of vibe, Michael's. Some people are gonna love that. I mean, it's just pretty standard, pretty generic, and it's fine, but it just isn't, in my opinion, like unexpected or innovative or interesting enough, so I didn't take that one home. And then another one, and I don't know if this is new or not, but here is Fresh Fall Morning, which is a really lovely label, and the notes on this one are citrus zest, woodland sage, and red delicious apple. And there is a real crisp and a coolness about this particular candle. I wondered if maybe there was a little bit of eucalyptus. They say woodland sage, so they're definitely trying to invoke some sort of herbal note. But for me, it was a little cool. So it could have been eucalyptus, but obviously the herb wasn't pronounced enough to be able to really identify it as one or the other. There is an ozone-ness to this candle, and you definitely are getting those citrus bergamot notes on top. There's a juiciness, which is kind of like apple, but as with the herb, not identifiably apple enough, probably. So there's kind of like a generic herb, a generic fruit, a generic ozone, and a little bit of soapiness. And with the bergamot notes, it could have gone men's cologne, but because of the soapiness, it actually goes a little bit men's body care. So this would be a great like shower gel, for instance, for that leans a little bit masculine. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with some body care in this, because it makes a lot of sense as that. I just didn't think it was interesting or unique enough, so I did not bring that one home. But it is a lovely label, and it's fine as a men's body care item. I think a lot of women will be able to get on board too, because it's not so strongly masculine spiced or leaning that it couldn't also be like a little bit unisexual. Okay, my friends, preamble over, and I know that was long. Let's talk about the things that I did bring home. Okay. We're gonna get to Fall Forest in a hot second because I think that it is so fantastic, but let's get some of the other ones kind of off to the side. I had to get this, and I don't know if it burns well. I am gonna get several of this because not only do I love this packaging, it is so cute, it's so stained glassed, it's perfect. And for me, it's just about as spooky as I like to go. Don't know that I want to go any more than that, because I would be fine if that jack-o'-lantern was a little happier, a little less slanty in the eyes, but I'll take it. Kind of a really nice like ivy-ish lid. And this needs no description. Everybody knows pumpkin carving. Notes are freshly carved pumpkin, spiced pumpkin seeds, smooth brown sugar. Oh, so great. There's a real freshness to this that makes it not quite gourmand. It's like almost gourmand, because I really do think that there is some natural pumpkin flesh and seeds, which I guess people eat too. But like, for some reason, even maybe a little bit of ozone that just makes it an almost gourmand, and I love it, and everybody loves it. Last year, my pumpkin carving didn't perform very well. It had puny wicks. It like sometimes wouldn't burn or pool the right way. I was not happy with the way that that one burned. So I'm definitely gonna burn this one first before I stock up. But if it looks like it's performing well, this iteration, I'm gonna stock up because I love it. And let's talk about this because I use this with my like free reward. Look! Do you know this is the first holder that I've ever bought? I'm not really like a holder person, but this is a very similar like in genre to this like pumpkin thing. Look at that. It's stunning. The colors are vibrant. And again, you've got that really cute, like stained glass. Look, this pumpkin's a little happier. I like him. Anyway, and it's cheap too because it's like hollow on the bottom. So it's a little more cheaply constructed, and it was like $14.95, and I used one of my rewards and I got it free, and it was the last one in the store, and I'm just so happy because I love this holder. Okay, so I got that holder too. And then I also got, let's see what else I've got down here. Oh yes. Here's a white pumpkin sandalwood. I think this one has been around for a little bit. Another little mini collection. I mean, it's not like an amazing pattern, but it's fine. It's like neutral, right? White pumpkin is pumpkin, sandalwood, and spice. And you know, I'm a sandalwood girl. Oh, that's so nice. I would say that it's gentle on the sandalwood. So if you don't love sandalwood, you may still really like this, because what is really forward is that pumpkin and the spice, and it is bold and it is beautiful, and it's got just enough of like a really kind of woody grounding that's fantastic. What I realized with this haul is that I like a very specific thing, and many of these candles are basically the same version of each other. So pumpkin carving is a little bit different than this, but I would say kind of same genre. But this one is incredibly similar to this one right here. In fact, I would say they're almost like kind of cousins of each other. So this is the spiced pumpkin and patchouli, which I reviewed last year. So great. Yes, this one has like a legit patchouli note to it. And this one trades the patchouli for a little bit of like soft wood. This one's a little bit of a higher range candle than this one, which the patchouli sends it right down into that base range. So base to mid right here. Whereas this one goes, I would say this is strongly mid. This is a mid range, but it's kind of the same note of pumpkin spice. And the wood, that sandalwood note is just right there in that mid range. But these are super similar, and I would say not dissimilar to pumpkin carving, which goes a little bit mid to like low high, if that makes sense. But again, very similar pumpkin note. And then this one, which is another one of my absolute favorites, pumpkin vanilla cream. And this is in the same like packaging here as this one. I mean, this is fantastic. This used to be pumpkin pie. It's been packaged as pumpkin pie way back in its history. and I really like this one. This is a true gourmand. And of all of these ones with sandalwood and patchouli and pumpkin seeds, it's definitely the most straightforwardly gourmand, but it doesn't have like a crust note or a dough note, because it would be an absolute no for me if it went that direction. So it's pumpkin pie, but just the filling. And I can do that. I can do that. I make exceptions for some of those gourmands in the fall season. I was smelling all of the pumpkin candles at Bath & Body Works like maybe 6 years ago, something like that. And I was trying to find like a really good pumpkin candle because I usually did spiced pumpkin or apple pumpkin from Yankee Candle. Those are the ones I would burn. And when I realized with the Rubbermaid thing that Yankee was just dead to me. In the years immediately following, I was trying to like replace some of those old standby Yankee candles because I was just not purchasing from them anymore, you know? And I didn't have just a back, you know, collection of all of them from of old. I didn't know. How could anyone know that they would be sold to a company that would just like, whatever. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're not hijacking this video with that. Anyway, I was smelling all of the pumpkin candles and I was just like, oh, no, no, no. And you know, all the Bath & Body Works employees, they're like bringing me all the candles. Have you tried this one? Have you tried this one? They're all like, they're just, I tried to explain, no, I just want like a really deep, classic pumpkin spice kind of candle. Like this has cupcake, this has icing, this has like, just none of them were in the genre of what I wanted from like Yankee Candle, which was spiced pumpkin or pumpkin apple. And then there was this one. And at the time it was like one of those core kind of collection labels. And it was a bright orange color. And they brought it to me kind of as an afterthought. They're just like, I guess you could try this one. And I smelled it and I was like, yes. This is it. This is it, friends. And I even remember the Bath & Body Works associate being like, well, technically that's not really the strongest pumpkin candle that we have. I was like, well, it is to me. And I took it away. And like, I could tell that the sales associates were not particularly enthused by pumpkin vanilla cream. And I could not understand why, because I just thought that it was far and away the best pumpkin smell that they had, the most authentic and the most deep pumpkin candle that they had. So there have been a few intervening years since then where it's come out or it hasn't come out. So happy that pumpkin vanilla cream is here for this year. As with pumpkin bonfire, I'm hoping that this is only the first format that we're going to see it in, and we're going to see it in other ones as well. When I took this up to the counter to pay for it, because she was looking at all my candles, we have kind of a similar aesthetic. And she was like, oh, let me smell that pumpkin vanilla cream. She didn't even really like know about it, right? And she was smelling it and she was like, that's really strong. And she gave me this look like, I think that's a little like inappropriately strong. I love this candle. This is like mid to low mid. So as with, which one was like that? The pumpkin carving one. These are kind of mid to low highs in terms of range. They don't have like any piercing super high notes, but they've got a mid and then they just kind of like lean up into that high range with some of the spices. And this is fantastic. I mean, it's just a classic pumpkin spice candle. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it's just giving you like a great, powerful, authentic pumpkin spice. So I highly recommend pumpkin vanilla cream. If you don't mind a little bit of woody nuance, white pumpkin and oak wood, I also highly recommend that one. And you know, I recommend spiced pumpkin and patchouli. And amongst the four of those, I was laughing as I was smelling them. I'm like, so these are pretty much the same candle with various little nuances. And I think four of the strongest candles that they have, pumpkin candles. And it's amazing that they have 4 strong ones. I have to hand it to Bath & Body Works. And we don't even have pumpkin bonfire in this particular like haul, which has to be one of their best. Now, Pumpkin Bonfire is not quite the same genre as these because it's got that smokiness. It's got a real smokiness. So I would say that it's not just another iteration of these four that has a nuance, but is something somewhat similar, somewhat separate. Although obviously it's got the pumpkin spice. It's got a musky dimension to it, which kind of ties in a little bit to the patchouli and the wood note from this. So it's got similarities, but I would say that these four are strongly close to each other. Then I also, oh my gosh, my friends, I bought another one of these. Blue Lavender Breeze. It was stuck in a drawer. They had like stuck it in a drawer because nobody was going to buy it at this stage. And I smelled it and I just smiled immediately. I just reviewed this one and I've been burning it, and I know that the strength and throw is not quite where it should be, but the minute that I smelled it, I was like, I love this candle. I just do. I hope the strength and throw improves in future iterations, but I hope they don't do away with this candle because it is fantastic. It's a new one. We've talked about it. Here's my old one. Look, that I've been burning all the way down. And the wax is even getting kind of dark and discolored. But I just love him so much. This, again, has the lavender, that beautiful lavender note that is in pink lavender espresso, and it's got coconut and sandalwood, and I love him. And I'm going to go ahead and nominate him for Best New Candle 2023. Is it going to win? No. Is it a dark horse? Yes. But do I love him, and do I think it's got enough to really go in that Best New Candle slot? Yeah. So just if you've been noticing, Pink Lavender Espresso, which is a shoo-in to win, is one of Bath & Body Works' best new candles of 2023. As well as I put Salted Amber and Vetiver up there too, and that's a fairly recent one as well, that came out about the same time as this. Salted Amber Vetiver is also a nominee for Best New Candle 2023 for Bath & Body Works. This one is an honorable mention. It's not going to win, but I think it's great, and I really want to see it come back around. And there's no better recommendation than repurchasing a candle in the same packaging that you just had, because for those of us who collect and burn candles a lot, we really very, very rarely do that. All right, and then we've got a coffee and whiskey. I've reviewed this one before. It's great. It is a little body care-ish, but not overly so. And we've reviewed this before. Notes on this one are bold Irish whiskey, vanilla, and coffee. Not very boozy, but I can almost smell the coffee this time. So I wonder if it has been tweaked a little bit from last year. They obviously put it out in all the body care this year, which makes me wonder if they really did invest and maybe reformulate. But maybe I'm just lying to myself and it doesn't have coffee in it, or it had a little bit in the beginning and I didn't notice it. At any rate, I am, it says hint of coffee. I am getting a hint this year, whereas last year I wasn't even getting a hint. So for what it's worth, I don't know if anybody else has been noticing that. If you have an opinion on the matter, definitely let me know. I also bought turquoise waters, which I have actually never reviewed and never purchased and never burned. But every time I smell it in the store, I smile. I mean, every time I pick it up and I'm like, why do you like this candle? Surely today the scales will fall from my eyes and I'll be like, that's a stupid candle. Like, what's wrong with you? But every time I smell it, I just smile. It's an ingenious candle. I may not burn this one this year. If I want to burn it, I have to burn it in the next 2 weeks because it's beachy. It's beachy and summery and aquatic and gorgeous. It's got this light blue wax in this iteration. I kept thinking it was I'm surprised it didn't go on semi-annual sale. Why did it not? Now they put it in a drawer because they don't know what to do with it. Nobody's buying this now except for me. I really like this one and I think it's a great candle for them. It's one they've had around quite a bit. It's one that they will continue to. Oh, I'm sorry. I know we've been talking a long time, but let's get to the pièce de résistance, which is this candle, and I believe it's a new candle for them, Fall Forest. Guys, I smelled this one. I actually ordered this one online because I looked at the notes and I'm like, oh, I might like that. And I sure as hell did not return this when I smelled it. This is incredible. It's got a lovely, like, which all of them do in this particular mini collection, this like pressed leaf kind of design. Notes on this one are forest pine needles, woodland moss, chilly fall air. I smelled this and I was like, what? What? Bath & Body Works will just surprise you sometimes. This is a huge surprise because with all of our like best candle nominees up to this point, Pink Lavender Espresso, I mean, it was brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But it's still well within like the genre, the main line of Bath & Body Works. So much so that it's actually a little bit of a tweak of an earlier candle, which was like, what was it? Marshmallow lavender or something like that. And the salted amber vetiver, again, within the Bath & Body Works main line, maybe pushing a little bit toward a sophisticated, more perfumey kind of smell, but again, well within that like personal fragrance Bath & Body Works kind of vibe. Blue Lavender Breeze, well within it as well. This one pushes almost beyond Bath & Body Works main line. I mean, you smell this and you would be shocked if you were just smelling this cold or blind. You would be shocked to know that it was Bath & Body Works. I wouldn't guess it. If I smelled this, I'd be like, for sure it's not Bath & Body Works. That's what makes it brilliant. It's so not Bath & Body Works. Kringle, a company like Kringle would kill for a scent like this. Kill. I don't think that I have smelled, possibly just across the board, all candle companies combined, definitely not from Bath & Body Works. I have not smelled a candle so authentically outdoor woodsy as this candle. It is brilliant and it is so authentic. There is a sweetness to this candle for sure. And the sweetness might not be completely true. I don't know if an outdoor forest experience would be that sweet. I don't know if I've experienced that. It would have to be a very sweet herb. And there is something vaguely herbal about this. So there is a sweetness, and I don't know quite where the sweetness is coming from because it seems it's radiating off of those pine needles. And pine can sometimes smell like any coniferous tree. You know, when you roll those needles together and smell them, juniper, there's can be a little bit of a sweetness from that. And so maybe it's just the sweetness from that amplified. There is a ton of moss in this candle. A ton of it. But unlike like the Moonlit Graveyard or whatever, it doesn't go like dirty and earthy. It is like the best version of moss. It's herbal, it's tree-like, it's mossy, it's everything. This is incredible. I kept trying to get like the girl who was ringing me up. I'm like, Fall Forest, this is incredible. And I could tell the associates in the store were like, whatever. I just kept looking at them like, have you smelled this? Like, explain this to me. Explain to me the thought process. Why is this candle here? What do you think of it? And everybody was just kind of like, well, you know, whatever. I'm worried that it's not mainline. I don't know how many people of the Bath & Body Works demographic would burn a candle like this. And I'm afraid that it's going to get bad. It's not going to sell well. And Bath & Body Works is not going to bring it back. I've even been watching some early reviewers, Brett, Philly Candleman, and I really respect him. He smelled this and he said that it was okay, but it wasn't anything to write home about. I don't get it. Kent Candle Channel liked it, but he said it smelled like a Christmas tree. I don't get that either. This is not a Christmas tree. If you want a Christmas tree, then you can buy fresh balsam. Fresh balsam is a Christmas tree. There's a specific Christmas tree smell. This is not a Christmas tree smell. This is not wintry at all because you get so much moss and you get so much herbs. There's a vibrant herbal dimension. I'm surprised that they didn't even say that it was herbal. It could be sage. It could be thyme. There is an herbal element to this, along with the moss. So, and there's a dampness to all of that. There's a damp, herbal, mossy quality. And frankly, when it's winter and there's snow on the ground, you're not gonna get damp, you're not gonna get herbal, and you're not gonna get mossy. You just don't. And that's what takes this candle very much into the fall dimension. This smells like fall more than anything else can, and I don't think that you would or could burn this at another time. I would not burn this in the winter. It's not cool enough. There's no cool notes, and there's just something very damp and fragrant and mossy about it that says cool weather, but not icy weather. I'm sorry, I have heard that this doesn't have a great strength and throw, which hurts my heart a little bit because I would love to see a great throw on it. And I obviously haven't burned it yet. But even if it has a moderate throw, I would purchase it again. It's that brilliant. I'm definitely nominating this for a best new candle 2023 from Bath & Body Works. I don't think that it will best the pink lavender and espresso for a whole host of reasons, and it certainly won't sell as well. But this is brilliant. And I'm a little verklempt, like, that Bath & Body Works came up with this. Is it an accident? I don't know. This is just so not their wheelhouse. The authenticity here, like, it's sometimes with Bath & Body Works, even when they have like an outdoorsiness, they're immediately thinking about how they can like make it into a shower gel or something. It's got a soapy element. It's got like a cologne element. This one is just so unabashedly authentic and outdoor. It's not a body care. I mean, it's gorgeous. I've been like smelling it every day. I just pop the lid off and like smell it again. I don't know what to say. I know this video has gone far too long. Please buy it. Please. I want Bath & Body Works to do this on a regular basis, even if it's just biannually, a seasonal biannual authentic outdoor candle that just knocks it out of the park. Like I said, Kringle would kill for a fragrance like this. It's much more in Kringle's wheelhouse than it is in Bath & Body Works, and it's executed flawlessly. Stay tuned for burn, quality, strength, and throw. And I'm hoping against hope and crossing all my fingers and toes. My friends, that's it. I liked it. I love all these candles, and I love this guy right here. So I would say a very successful Bath & Body Works haul, and I will definitely be picking up those pumpkin bonfires ASAP and hoping for some new formats for pumpkin bonfire as well. Thank you, my dear friends. I'll catch you in the next one.